Welcome to the FromThe108 podcast, starring the drunk uncles of White Sox Twitter. He's a Twitter-like whore, an Instagram thirst trap, and your grandma's guilty pleasure, Beef Loaf. A West Coast attitude in a decidedly Midwest body, My Sock Summer. And your host, he's sharing obscure music thoughts to give you time to hit the bathroom, Cherezy E.
Thank you, Cornsey, and welcome to the From the 108 podcast. Get ready for some baseball, beer, and bullshit. And remember the drinking rules. If Beef Loaf says allegedly, or that he manifested that, you drink. If My Sock Summer talks about the gym or tells us he simply didn't have time, you drink. And if I talk music or Star Wars, you drink. And of course, you can make all of us drink for $1.08 or more in the tips. But speaking of drinking, my guys, what are you drinking? We're on the quest for 50. If you haven't seen the blog, go check it out on FromThe108.com. We're trying to drink 50 different things in the course of this season. We're off to a wonderful start. Beef, are you keeping us going? Beef, what are you drinking?
Yes, sir. I'm on the path. I'm drinking a very classic drink, a breakfast drink. I promise not to get scurvy. I am having a screwdriver right now.
There we
go.
I got it with no pulp instead of some pulp. I apologize to Tony Soprano on that one, but close enough. Screwdrivers are fucking delicious. I was looking down the list of stuff you put in there, Treasy, and I was like, what's something real simple that I could just do tonight? No frills. And the screwdriver is simple, but tastes so good. I love it.
Beef, I can't think about a screwdriver without thinking about my guy, Bobka. We're out in Vegas, and we're much younger. So we're like in our early 20s. We had been up for 36 hours easy, and we're down at the like the breakfast buffet in like the Sahara, right? So it's a
real
very
classy joint,
very classy, very classy. And someone was like, "Yeah, you want a beer?" And he's like, "I'm getting a screwdrivers. It's breakfast time. We gotta have some juice." And I can never, it's hard for me now to separate screwdrivers from breakfast. You having it right now, I'm like, it's way too late for a screwdriver. Way too late. It's a breakfast food.
Not proper.
It is appropriate in the early morning hours. You're correct. I agree with you.
I'm not a juice drinker. I don't even keep juice at the house. I had to run to the gas station and get some juice. Luckily, they had one of these bitches left.
Orange juice.
Gas station orange juice, baby. This might have vodka in it already. I don't even know, man.
You buried the lead. You wanted to do the Sopranos joke. That was the gas station juice.
He's going to have.
Wait, what's wrong with gas station orange juice?
I just said it's the best.
It's the best juice.
Oh, I can't believe Jacob's disrespecting the gas station juice. A lot of good stuff at the gas station.
He real named you. How mad he was.
Jacob is, okay? I don't know who that guy is. Who's that guy?
He's the fat guy in the bottom square, also known as My Sock Summer. That's who he is. And he disrespected my gas station, God damn it.
Which one? The sicko?
My Sock Summer, what are you drinking?
So I went to the appropriate store today. I went to Fair Play to get my my alcohol because Mariano's too fucking classy. Okay, you can't get the good stuff that we need to fill out like the bottom of this this list, right? Yeah. So I'm like, I remembered it, and because my oldest did so well at school today and got all her awards, went and got her a cake. It was on sale, so don't think I overspent and gave her spent a lot of money on a cake. It was only like $2, but because it was on clearance, it was good. But I was looking and I couldn't find anything, so I went to Fair Play. I got Steel Reserve, and I didn't have the balls just to drink straight diesel Steel Reserve. I was like, give me the 8% spiked watermelon. Now,
it's light.
I don't know how old this is. It's good till June 2025, so we're good. But it was in the back behind everything. There was
someone was saving that
ton of peach, right? So clearly watermelon is one of the better flavors. The other one was something blue, and I was like, I'm not drinking that.
I know they got grape. I know they got grape. That's
Of course.
I
mean, of
I
course.
knew I was gonna go grape if Steel Reserve fell to me. Like I was
This
gonna
is
You had it all lined up already.
this is
Hey, I put this list together. I thought
You mapped it out.
every line item through.
No, is this
24 ounces.
Is this gauche? I mean, should he have to run the real diesel? I mean, I feel like you guys are cheating a little bit. You know,
I think this
He's
is fine.
cheating.
this is fine. Okay,
Any
All right,
variant of Steel Reserve is still disgusting.
Okay, it smells. It
Because
smells.
when
like,
our uncle would drink it, he would drink the
Wait, hold
diesel.
Hold on, Beef. Let's get a tasting here. I feel like we
I
need to
have
get a
not
tasting.
tasted
Give me-
this yet.
Do it like
Yeah.
the
It
Boone's Farm
smells-
tasting. I want the full bit.
It smells like watermelon, but then also malt liquor. So I mean that's good because it has like a beer back to it. I don't know. It smells weird. Let me have my first drink here. I mean, St. Ides Special Brew ain't got nothing on this. I'll say that. It has the same back end where you're just like, I'm instantly regretting drinking this because it has got so much sugar in it. I am going to have to take antacids before I go to bed. If I can get through this whole thing, which is only 24 ounces, but it's 8%, folks, 8%. I have two other things. I have one other thing that I'll probably drink below, and I'm going to put it in this fancy glass. So it just we'll see if I can get there. But I wanted to at least knock one thing off there. I was not in the mood to go to the Mickey's grenades tonight. I had them in the cart, and I was like, "Well, fuck that.
I already
Can't
did
do
it.
Yeah, Trezo had him.
Mickey's?
He had him the first
That was
time.
the first. That was the first.
You
one.
got to update that list, motherfucker. Because
No, it's updated. It's updated. Yes.
Shit. I better
Learn how to
send me a
fucking
link.
read.
All right. Well, because
It's
I
out there, it's
looked, and
updated.
it wasn't on there, but maybe because I read the wrong blog or something. I don't know. Maybe I read the wrong one. So, all right,
He's making up stuff now.
Treasy, what are you drinking?
Well, I wasn't sure what I was going to do today, so I was kind of thinking about a few things. I even considered Heineken, but then with David Lynch passing, I thought to myself,
What kind of beer do you like? Heineken. Heineken? Fuck that shit! Pabst Blue Ribbon!
Frank Booth, right?
Attaboy,
Is it Frank Booth?
Trezo.
"This Frank Booth,
Yeah,
great movie, wild,
dude.
wild fucking movie, Blue Velvet,
Dude, that movie.
really sad. David Lynch passing.
That's a
It's
bummer.
one of those guys who just like I know you probably don't like every one of his movies. You probably only seen a few, and like they're weird as hell. But like you need
Right.
guys like that to push those boundaries all the way
Yes.
the fuck out there, so that there's that new ground for people to live in, right? Like Twin Peaks changed television. It just did. A lot of these HBO shows don't exist if there isn't something that fucking weird on broadcast TV.
That's true.
So like, I felt like I needed to give him a little props tonight and have a PBR for Frank Booth. I'm not gonna inhale any helium or any weird shit like that, you know.
Isn't it supposed to be nitrous? I think it's supposed to be
It's
nitrous.
supposed to be nitrous, but it is helium in the movie, if I recall correctly.
Oh, that's such
Now,
a
Trezo,
weird-
you got Tall
weird
Boy
movie.
PBR? What's
I did go 16 ounce. I actually looked for the 24 ounce, but I think I was
Okay.
at too classy of an establishment to get the good 24 ouncer. So
You got Mariano's too?
no, I was at Binny's, and Binny's usually has a good 24 ounce selection, just no PBR. And like it was PBR or bust tonight. Like we had to figure it out. So
Good job.
respect you.
I think we got a drink or two here, so let's get to these. So John Nava says, "Cheers, guys! Can't wait until the live show next Saturday." Cheers, John.
Yes, John. That show's gonna be awesome.
Cheers,
Do it,
buddy.
baby.
Yeah, tickets are available. That's the QR code in the corner, right?
Yes, sir.
That sure is. And then our guy Senior Socks says, "Damn, I miss Matt Ramsey and Sockswood. We do too."
Yeah,
We do
I
too.
text Matt Ramsey the other day. Fuck him. Bless
Those
you,
guys are
Senior.
bitches.
Oh man, I miss Sockswood's mustache.
Yeah.
I think that's what I miss the most.
Oh God.
Beef, how you doing tonight?
I love smelling it. That's what it was. I'm fine. You know what? There's been some internet news. And I figured we should cut it up a little bit, boys, because we're into the internet drama in the White Sox Twitter realm. But sometimes there's even bigger internet news out there. and one Barstool Big Cat, Dan Katz. I'll put up a little picture. what a thin rail of a picture here, but he's wearing the Tom Brady jersey. You know, it came out this week, and it was kind of, I think it was like a thin secret. People kind of knew it or ever, that he's not a native Chicagoan, that he actually grew up in Newton, Massachusetts, and he left Massachusetts after high school, went to Wisconsin for college, moved to Chicago after that, and then kind of as a professional, when he was blogging for Barstool, he hid that he wasn't a lifelong Chicagoan. He didn't say anything about it. Now, I personally thought, when this all came out, kind of more to the mass media, I know the old school stoolies know all this shit, but when it came out more, I thought it was obvious the guy was not a lifelong Chicagoan for the sheer fact that he never brings up his high school ever. And everyone who lives in Chicago brings up their fucking high school and talks about it all the time. Like, I could name the high schools of a lot of people where they went just because I've heard them fucking talk about it. So it was very weird for me to hear him say that. Now, I guess my first question for you guys is, though, about a situation like this is, does it matter to you that a guy who is not from here, who wasn't upfront about saying he's not from here, tries to paint himself as the face of the Chicago fan? Treasy, what do you think?
See, I think it's I don't feel anything about it because, like, I think we all grew up watching people on TV who are talking heads or listening to people on the radio, and all these motherfuckers aren't from here, right? Like, I mean, like, there's plenty of people that have been like Hawk Harrelson never lived in Chicago. Fucking guy lives in like the middle of Indiana.
He's originally from Georgia, I believe.
But I connect that guy to Chicago more than most people, right? Like, to me, he's part of Chicago sports forever, and one of the best to ever do it on the announcing side. There's every player you grew up watching. They're not from here, but a lot of them embrace the city, right? I mean, like, Jordan's been here forever.
Oh yeah.
Since and like, so. I mean, like, Walter Payton's not from Chicago, but fuck you if you say that he's not a Chicagoan, right? Like, so I don't know. I don't really I honestly just don't care. Like, this is one of those things where I was like, why is this a big deal? Like, I get that, like, there's he tried to cover it up, but I mean, like, he didn't even do a good job of it, to your point, Beef, because, like, Eddie and especially Carl would always bring up their high school, right? Like,
Yes, constantly.
Out of that conversation, you're not from here,
right?
I mean, Beef, we had a conversation with Joe O the other day in the DMs where I was like basically threatening to leave the chat because the motherfucker went to St. Pat's.
Yes, exactly. Like, I got a story for you next time I see you, motherfucker. Yeah, you're right. There's all the rivalries and stuff. I'm curious of how soft you are on him, though. MSS, you feel the same? He's being pretty soft on him. I'm going to be honest.
No, I don't. You know what? I agree with him that I don't care. But also, it's like there's so many people that get upset about people cheering for colleges that they never went to, right? Like, and like you said right in the beginning, you're like, hey, where you grew up and all this stuff. Dude, I grew up an Illini fan. I didn't go to the University of Illinois. I still cheer for the Illini. And go fuck yourself if you say I can't cheer for that team. And he was in an area, right?
I'm gonna change my answer because fuck Big Cat, but because I don't like that you root for you. Well,
I don't know what angle MSS is going on here. It's not about you, MSS.
Here's the angle. He grew up somewhere, and he had good teams that were there. He could have been a Patriots fan. He could have been a Celtics fan. He could have continued down there and been just fine, right? Those,
but he could not. But he could not have written for Barstool, and then would have started his career. That's the point of it. They had them guys already, so he couldn't have done that.
Of course, no, he couldn't do that. But he chose teams that were not like the Bears are not that's not a good trade up from the Patriots. Like, it's just not in that time period, not a good time, right? So, like, it's like
hindsight's 2020, though, you know.
Well, right, but he bought in on the Bears when it was low, right? So if it's in the 90s with the Bears, they're not good, you know. Like, you're running off the 85 shit, but like they weren't good by the end of the 90s. This wasn't a great team. So, like, you could come in on that. It doesn't bother me that he's doing that. It didn't. The lie thing seems kind of weird, but I understand it because there's so many fickle people, I think, in Chicago that are just like, if you're not from here, you can't talk about this shit. and it doesn't make any sense.
I do want to give a gold star to Praz with the Big Cat is to Chicago what MSS is to the West Coast.
True.
Let's get a drink here from our guy Husky Bardo. He says NIU.
Yeah.
MSS. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers,
I'm an
Bardo.
NIU fan,
Appreciate you.
I'll say this. I do not like the amount of love that NIU. I mean, I like that they're getting love, but I don't like that they're getting love on the score. And they're like the darlings of the score now. And they're like, oh, yeah, NIU, we love the coach. We love Tom. It's like, bitch, you didn't talk about this guy for the last 2 years that he's been coaching there. 3 years he's been coaching there. You can't jump on now and be like, oh, we like you. We like you. You know, it bothers me.
All right,
I want you to read this one. We got another drink. I need you to read this one for us.
Okay, this is from Matty Mitch. And he says, hey, fellas, I'm repping the mean streets of Rochelle and Rockford, but love Chicago. Go Hubs. Fuck Dixon, Sterling, wherever MSS is actually from.
Yes. That a boy, Matty Mitch.
Listen, you bitch, Matty. I
love Matty
remember
Mitch.
going into Rochelle and just destroying the Hubs in sophomore year basketball when we were NCIC champs for soft. We were good. We beat the fucking wheels off.
No way you even saw the court once.
I did. Well,
were you guys up that much? Don't lie to me, all right?
Did you come out to wipe the floors? Someone fell down?
Layup line, baby. He's out there layup line.
Oh yeah, no, that man, the old NCIC was great. Now it's like it's weird now, but yeah, no, Rochelle. I got some stories, Matty Mitch, mostly from Mendota people, but we'll talk some NCIC the next time we see each other.
Another one for Matty Mitch. He says, FYI, Dixon and Sterling, old Rochelle rivals.
Yes.
Oh,
cheers,
Matty Mitch.
Man, he's just tipping away like crazy, man. Matty, don't waste all your money here.
Bless your heart.
Buy a ticket to our live show.
We got a tip I'm very excited about right here. Our guy Gordo, he says, cheers from rehab. Cheers, buddy.
Gordo! Badass scar, baby. I love it.
We love you, buddy. Hope
the
recovery's quick.
You get nice.
You guys were soft as fuck on this, but I got one more question on this topic.
What do you think then?
Because
I feel like you got some fire in your belly.
Yeah,
give it to us.
You know what it is? Okay, here's what it is. I don't really have a problem with someone coming from somewhere else, but Dreezy's examples all stink because those are sports icons. They aren't the guy who's pretending to be the fan. No.
You're radio guys like Park.
You gave fucking Walter Payton and Michael Jordan to try to solidify your point, which is not correct because those guys are superstar athletes. That's like a musician or something like that. No, I'm talking about a fucking fan, guy who's purporting themselves to be a fan and lying about it, though. The lying part is the key there. And I think this whole thing he played out, he was kind of a bitch about this. He should have just taken his medicine. Now he's got to do a whole tour where he's writing blogs and doing all this stuff. And like, it's a very weird situation to lie about that for one. It shows he's kind of a weird guy, I think. Just like that's really putting that out there. And he's being a little bit of a bitch, if I say so myself. Now, my question for you guys, though, is, in this vein, let's say it's fine. But the Barstool Chicago guys, they got to lay into him, right? They got to give him shit about this going forward. They can't lay back in the cut because they've been laying back in the cut. They didn't say nothing. They didn't say shit. I think they're kind of soft if they don't give him a little business about this and give him some Chicago business here.
Well, I mean, which of them actually can? Like, where's Chief from? Like, Missouri? I don't even know.
No, he's from here. He's from like the burbs.
Yeah. Him and he's like St. Charles, I believe.
Yeah, that's like another country to me.
All right, that's fine. Eddie, obviously.
I think
Carl, obviously. And even Dave. Dave's
Dave's close enough. Yeah.
See what he tried to do? He tried to do the same point, but he reversed it. Fucking moving goalposts all over the place, Teresa.
What are you talking about
here?
Here's a question.
Just moving goalposts, all kinds of bullshit.
I'm just saying, how do you give shit about someone if it's the same?
Your point is as solid as my watery shit I just took of Chipotle. That's all I gotta say.
That's disgusting.
Weird.
Loth,
let's talk about weird guy.
And this is kind of to your point. Who is like the most definitive sports writer that covered Michael Jordan in the city of Chicago? Definitive guy. Sam Smith. Sam Smith. Sam Smith wrote the Jordan.
Did he try to hold himself out as the biggest Chicago sports fan?
No, but you wouldn't
see where you guys are all missing the point. I know Gian Greco's from Buffalo and Garfine's from Cleveland or wherever the fucking Luke Canellis is from somewhere else. Who gives a fuck?
I guess,
but they're not holding
say
themselves out as the ultimate Chicago sports fan. That's my point.
But
I'm just saying you're
two
used
different
to it.
points.
Like you don't connect like that the person's from Chicago with them being a huge Chicago fan because of all of those examples. I get what you're saying though, Beef. I'm not.
Yeah.
I get why
It's
you're
a
mad
different
about
thing.
it. I get
I'm not
why you're
mad. It's just
How
a
you
different point.
You just nearly shit your pants, and you got this on your mind. I would, I could see you being upset.
I guess there's two things that there's like. I guess there's just two things there because I'm also thinking he's covering it like a reporter, but you're saying he's also a super fan of these teams. So there is a little bit of difference. I understand what you're saying. Does it bother me? It still doesn't bother me, but that just might be the drugs or this fantabulous 8% malt liquor that I'm drinking. I don't know. Whatever.
I'm so in on whatever's going on with that beer. Like that just I can't imagine the mix of flavors that are going on in your mouth right now.
As it's warming up, it's not as good. Let's just say that.
I can't wait for your next ad read. It's gonna be a gem.
Wait, are they live today?
Yeah, they're live.
They're live today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're doing live. We're running it back.
Someone's
That's why
going
I'm
to be
trying to
so happy that they're live today. I'm glad he's in the comments so you can check.
Oh, that's why I'm trying to
Jesus.
run this segment as long as possible. My Suck Summer, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, but you know who's not doing great today, and that's this guy. That's Bob Uecker. He died. Rest in peace, buddy. I heard he was not the nicest guy all the time. But like, I feel like if you've been involved in something for so long and been around in a place for so long, you're gonna have as many bad stories as you are good stories. So I think I might have just heard a couple of the bad stories. But Eddie posted it today, and I'm a big Stern guy too. And immediately when he died, and I know Teresa, you remembered the same thing. The story that Artie Lang, who was the sidekick for Howard Stern, told on the Letterman show, and then when Norm Macdonald came into the Stern show, they told it again, but they told it uncensored, and so. Eddie posted the long form video, and I thought it was funny that he had to then post the quick video. He's like, here's for all you TikTok people, because no one's watching this. They're like, who's watching an 8-minute clip? And it's like, God, you people, you gotta watch more, right? So the story is that Norm is doing the Norm show, which is a short-lived show, and Artie is like on that show. And he's doing beer commercials, light beer commercials with Bob Uecker. So Bob's like, yo, you guys are cool. Why don't you come out to spring training? Come hang out with me, and we'll do. You can come catch a game, and we'll play some golf or whatever. So they go out there, they play a round of golf with Bob Uecker, and then he's like, come tonight. The Brewers are playing the Cubs. Come sit in the booth and watch me do my thing. And so I think Norm is probably talking. I was going to look it up, but I didn't have time. Everyone have a drink. If there was an actual video of them in the booth, but I don't think there was. So they're doing the game, and Bob's like talking, doing this broadcasting, thing, and he has a cough button, and they have these on the mic. So when he is going to cough, you push the button, or you want to be off mic, you push the button so he doesn't go on. So Artie says he's sitting there, he's like coughing, he's like calling the game, and he's like, Bob would see like somebody really hot in the audience, like he would bring shut up, Sal, go fuck yourself. I'm getting there. It's the beginning. I gotta set a scene, man. So you're like, well, it's Bob's watching the game, and he sees somebody hot, a good-looking girl in the audience. Like he would say something really filthy about her, and then go right back and announcing the game. So like he said, this is what it would be like. He was like, here's the 2-2 pitch to Sosa, hits a ground ball to short. Look at the fucking tits on that whore. Over to first base, 2 down. So that, and then he would just drop that in the middle of the stuff. He would say it throughout the whole game. So apparently at the same game, John Fogerty is there, who is the leader from CCR. And he says to the guys in the booth, he says, that fucker's a rock singer, but he can get out of the sand trap like nobody's business. They were like, yeah, we know who that is, Bob. He's in CCR, blah, blah, blah. He's like, hey, I'll get the fucker to come up here in the 7th inning stretch and have sing to you guys. And anyway, I thought it was funny. Fuck our fans. Fuck every single one of you. You fucking all go to hell. There's this, Sal, shut the fuck up. I'm done with you, Sal. So anyway, Bob Uecker got mad at Artie and Norm, and when he next time he saw Norm, he was like, "Hey, your fucking buddy Artie Klein must be really short on material because he's telling jokes about me, you know." But anyway, rest in peace, Bob Uecker, and go fuck yourself, everyone in our comment section. Treasy, how the fuck are you doing?
Well, I like that you started that whole thing off by if Bob Uecker just passed away. He's an iconic announcer in baseball. Like everybody knows him, and you're like, this guy's not having a good day. And then we're like, I heard he's kind of mean to everybody. And it's like, who goes to a wake and was like, this guy kind of sucked.
I mean, I'm not giving him I was giving respect. I was telling a fucking funny story. I thought it was great. I thought that shit was good. But you know, listen, I understand it. I know sometimes I'm not good. I get it. So I'm good. You know? No big deal. We'll move on. We'll do the next thing.
You should have drank more Steel Reserve. I think you would have drank the Steel Reserve faster than it would have been right in there, baby.
Drink a little Steel Reserve. Man. Everyone's like, Jesus Christ, come on, man. Hurry the fuck up.
I'm doing good. Right, you were just talking about people who are, big, Sox fans, big or big Chicago fans that are not from Chicago. Yeah. And I went to, speaking of which, I went to lunch with our guy, Josh Nelson, the other day. And it was the day where it was like 0 degrees out. Right. And so I'm texting him. I'm like, hey, do you want to go to lunch? And he's like, yeah, just let's not go somewhere too far because it's like below freezing out there. And I forget, though, that Josh is from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, yeah, let's go. We go. The place is a couple blocks away.
Yeah.
So I put on my big winter jacket. I got a fucking knit cap on, like you would dress to go outside in 0 degree weather.
Yeah.
So I meet him downstairs. This motherfucker's got a windbreaker on. He's like one of those like zip up things where it's almost like a sweater, but like a kind of a jacket. And I'm like, and it's not even zipped. He's got no hat. And I'm like, you're the one saying it was cold out. And then I realized, this motherfucker's from Wisconsin. This is how you dress for 0 degree weather.
Oh my God.
Absolutely ridiculous.
little goofy.
But I just to dovetail back on the Uecker thing. Man, the outpouring of love out there on the internet was cool today, and a lot of great stories and a lot of stuff, pictures people were sharing. It was very cool. Guy lived to be 90 years old, man. I was thinking,
that's good.
Imagine you lived to 90, and I know he wasn't a full-time announcer anymore, but he was still doing the shit. At least semi-regularly. It's like, that's pretty cool to still be doing the thing that you love to do and going in the locker room and all that shit. So, guy lived a full-ass fucking life. And whether he was a jerk-off like MSS said or a great guy like a lot of people on the internet were saying, I don't know, but a guy really enjoyed himself, and
sometimes a little weird, but that's
you hope that Hawk gets that kind of love when right now even, but when he passes, because they're the last of those guys. There's not going to be more of them, right? Unless something really changes, right?
Yeah.
It's all going to be, especially for the play-by-play guy.
Well,
right, it's not gonna.
It's all gonna be the cookie cutter, fucking goofy Syracuse guys. And no offense to them, we got enough of them already. We need some personalities in there.
I'm just gonna say this, and I'm gonna say it, and it's gonna give me a little bit of flack. But we had a lot of people from our fan base that were totally okay with our guy doing less games, being less involved, doing the thing. And that's kind of the trend, and that kind of sucks.
That's where it's going.
Yeah. So everyone loves Bob Uecker, but they're like, you know what? They might not have loved him if he was fucking doing, Pitt versus fucking whoever on a Saturday when the Brewers are trying to go in the playoffs. Who knows? Who don't know?
Make it about something else. All right, Father Zoe's in the comments. He says it's been a minute. Oh, you all look very handsome and slim. Especially MSS. I didn't say exactly what you said. I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah.
Here's Zoe.
Thank you, Zoe. Long time,
Cheers.
buddy.
Good to see you. I see a St. Rita thing every once in a while at the thrift stores, and I'm like, hey.
Another guy who talks about his high school. That's how you know he's from Chicago there.
I know a guy.
Couple quick ones. White Sox Cell says, Josh isn't from Chicago? He acts like the king of Bridgeport. Then Manny Mitch says, that explains why Josh Nelson looks like he smells like cheese.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man.
I didn't realize that. I don't think he does smell like cheese, does he?
He does.
Maybe a little bit. A little cheesy. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Nice. Smells
the
like
one caveat
dude.
To the story that I didn't get to say because you guys are all mean, I said, and who would have guessed that Artie Lang outlived both Norm Macdonald and Bob Uecker?
Wow.
That's high.
That is great, actually.
Yeah.
It's a very odd thing that he did live longer than both those guys. So,
MSS. Now that we got y'all fired up, it's time to pay some bills.
Ready? Hold on. Let me get this fucking graphic up, and then we'll be good to go. 75 years ago, Lawrence Schwegg, a first-generation American, dreamed about having his own business. Lawrence had spent years working his way up at the Fulton wholesale market. So in the year 1950, he opened a small storefront on Canal Street. From the beginning, Lawrence perfected and preferred to serve a family recipe for fried shrimp and hot sauce that is still the most popular offering now 75 years later. That small store still exists, and you can get the best fried shrimp 24 hours a day there. With 3 other locations, Lawrence's Fish and Shrimp has been serving the people of Chicago for 75 years. You don't stay in business for that long if you aren't good at what you do. Be sure to follow Lawrence's on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, all those places. Well, not TikTok for much longer. There will be monthly specials and celebrations for this historic year. And that's this month. Every Thursday, you buy 1 pound, you get 1/2 pound of free large fried shrimp. Also, Happy New Year from Lawrence's Fish and Shrimp. Place your order online at chicagoshrimp.com for pickup or delivery. Lawrence's Fisheries, serving the seafood you crave for 75 years. A little better.
Look at that. He got mad, and he's like, you know what? I'm not fucking missing one word. I'm gonna knock this out.
Went right off the cuff there and did the special in the middle of the ad. I should probably write that in there better. But yeah, no, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. It was not as bad as the Bob Uecker story. I'm sorry, Bob Uecker. Rest in peace, buddy. Rest easy.
Rest in power.
Well, now it's time for one of my favorite parts of the show, one of my favorite segments, which is the stupidest shit we've read on the internet this week. So this is where we, as you could probably tell from the title of the segment, this is where we talk about the stupidest shit we read on the internet this week. Beef, what is the stupidest shit you read this week?
Boys, I pulled the article from Fox, but Fox 32, but I can pull this from anywhere. It says coyotes in Chicago, what to know during peak season. It says a coyote wandered into an Aldi store on Chicago's northwest side on Monday, highlighting the growing presence of the wild canines. There was also a coyote that was hit by a plane taking off at O'Hare earlier today. Let me pull up the video if you guys don't mind of the Aldi coyote. For those of you guys who haven't seen it, this was all over Twitter, but let's all just take a look. Incredible. It's a.
You doesn't have to go to the store anymore. It's up to you, but you get food, right? Any call, 83170. You need another plate on there? Okay, go ahead.
Watch out, guys. Watch out. Hey, watch out.
My favorite part is it jumps right back in the cooler. They pull it out, it jumps right back in. It's like, fuck you guys, I'm going back in there.
He's like, there's a lot of food back there.
The article says the coyotes are typically shy and nocturnal, but become bolder during mating season. Apparently, mating season is from January to March. And reports of coyote activity in Chicago have jumped 27% in 2024, with over 1,350 calls recorded. I assume this is calls to either the police or animal control or whatever. We have fucking coyotes everywhere, allegedly, boys. Now, my question for you guys are, because I looked out what coyotes eat. Coyotes eat small rodents, and they eat some garbage, and they eat pets. Well, that was going to be my question. Do I have to take a little extra concern for 108 Morton? Because he may be at risk of coyote.
Beef, where you really need to do it, where you really need to watch out is in front of your house or out on the street, because you're right by the tracks.
Yes.
And so, like, I also live right by the tracks. Me and Beef wisely
moved right next to the tracks
that live as close to trains as possible, so that we could never have a full night of sleep. But from my window, I could look out onto the tracks, and like every once in a while, like you'll hear like, oh, is that a dog? And then you'd be like, no way. And you look out there, and it's a fucking coyote just howling on the track. Because a metro train hasn't gone by in 4 seconds, so it's just like, I'm in the wilderness. So yeah, they're all over the
lovely
place, man. Like, and by me, I don't know why, but like by me, there's a lot of rabbits And
Okay. Oh, they love rabbits. They eat that
I'm
shit.
sure they are destroying that population right now.
Yeah, I mean, I looked
That's
up too.
crazy.
They don't have a lot of natural predators. Apparently, their main natural predators are humans, obviously, because we take up all the land or whatever and chase them out of there. Cougars and then gray wolves. Now, one thing I did not know is that sometimes they fuck the gray or red wolves and make coy wolves. I had never heard of
my
this shit
God.
before. It could be
Coy.
wrong. I'm not 100% sure. But so either the wolves will kill and eat them or they fuck. I don't know how it all works. But right now is mating season for the coyotes. So be on the lookout, man. Them motherfuckers are going to be absolutely everywhere.
Man, I just like that coyotes know where to go to get a deal. That's why they're at Aldi. They're like, hey, I'm not gonna spend too much money. I'm gonna go to Aldi because that's where you get the best stuff. And it's true, folks. In the city of Chicago, and that's where you should go.
You know what, MSS? I think you make a great point. The American coyote has gotten lazy. It's not out there hunting anymore. It's going for the creature comforts of paying $1.99 for a rabbit leg.
Yep. Oh man, I wish.
It's
I wish
horrible.
they had rabbit.
They got to send them to Whole Foods so we can get the grass-fed version. They're getting a factory farm right there, and they're not going to. It's going to be bad for their health, Teresi. That's what's going to happen.
They're not bougie yet. When I see a coyote with black rimmed glasses walking through the aisles of Whole Foods, then I'll know. Then I'll know they became hipster bougie motherfuckers.
Wearing an ascot, unironically, with the flannel.
Does that coyote have corduroy pants on?
Is he wearing Jinkos? No,
Mrs. B says MSS won't get a dog, but he'll get a coyote because he shops at all. He run errands for you, MSS.
I did hear you say though, Loaf, that they like to eat small rodents, and I would let one stay in my garage to like eat any rat that came through that motherfucker. Because sometimes they.
Well, that's why they're helpful, right? Chicago has more fucking
Hell
rats
yeah.
than any big city, so I guess.
So we
it's
need
probably-
more coyotes?
I think maybe we need more. We need to be
Maybe we
breeding
do.
these coyotes. You know what the fuck? They
Then
tried
we'll
to get that one and put it back out in the wilderness. Fuck that. Put it on 35th Street, man. We got a ton of rats at Sox Park to go eat, man.
They're going to bring in a bunch of cougars to eat the coyotes. And then as K-Dog says, then we'll get Wally to take care of the cougars. So, Loaf, I don't know if you know, but like, was that animal control in that video, or was that
That looked
those
like just cops.
Because
I think those were regular cops.
they must
and they
not
were.
know
No, I
anything
think they
what
were just
going
trying to
into.
deal with it, and then not well, but they, okay, they got the thing out of there, but then it was like evaded them again. I saw a picture of the.
had a stick. He had like a thing.
Yeah, they had no
the floor,
tools. He
and
was
the
using
other
his
guy had,
hand.
like, it looked like he just picked up like the fucking like a sweeper, a broom with the dustpan off the shelf, and was like, "We'll just fuck this coyote up, guys."
There was no
what
tool.
are you doing?
That guy had his bare hand on the coyote's leg and pulled it out there. Fucking amazing, man.
Where are these cops when I get in an accident 2 blocks from the police station and they can't come for 2 hours? These guys are trying to take a goddamn coyote out with a fucking, window washer.
You
I
have
just
no
fucking
idea.
those guys.
You have no idea how long they took to get there, though.
That's true.
That coyote might have been running wild for hours.
Man.
But I saw a picture of the coyote afterwards. They got it, not injured or
he was
anything. They
cute.
put it, good looking coyote.
Good looking cutie.
Put it in the thing, and then apparently they set it back in the wild somewhere. But man, just crazy shit that
On
they're
the
just
tracks
like,
behind my house.
here's a good place for you to howl.
That's your natural habitat. Train tracks.
Fight a grifter if you could.
Got a drink from Trey. He says it's elementary food chains. Cheers.
Thank you, Trey. Appreciate you.
Not gonna
I'll tell
lie,
you what,
I'm catching
Big
a little
Cat-
bit of buzz on this guy.
They can't say much shit about coyotes.
No, he don't know nothing about coyotes. Fuck him.
I know that much. MSS.
man.
What is the stupidest shit you read on the internet this week?
So it's been going around today, like big time. And I'll pull up my graphic here. This is Bonnie Blue. And then over there on the left, that's Ali, but we'll talk about him later. But Bonnie Blue, she's holding the 1,000 thing there. She is the lady, I would say, that slept with 1,057 men in 12 hours, beating the previous record set by Lisa Sparks. You should look her up sometime. She's right up here.
I know who she is. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm well versed. Thank you.
Just making sure. That's Sparks with the SPARKXXX.
3 X's. That's right. Yeah.
Don't look with KS. No, don't do that. She slept with 919 men in 24 hours. She was at the World Gangbang Championships in Denmark, apparently, when she set that record.
All right.
This Bonnie Blue just said it just regularly, and it's a regular fucking Wednesday or Tuesday in Nottingham, England, or some shit. I don't know. So she says thanks to all the barely legal, barely breathing, and the husbands for helping her set this record. Now, being the 108 math guy, Loaf, if she slept with 1,057 men in 12 hours, how long does each man get to be with her?
40 seconds.
Is that true? That might be.
That
right.
is true.
Okay.
It's like they say if her claims are true, the turnaround with all the men who got involved would have been very, very quick. There are 43,200 seconds in 12 hours, so that would leave an average of 40 seconds per man. Bonnie Blue described those 12 hours
twice in that amount of time.
Maybe. She described those hours as putting in a heavy day in the bedroom, which is putting it lightly. Her post claiming to have slept with over 1,000 men in 12 hours comes less than a month after fellow adult video star Lily Phillips announced plans to sleep with 1,000 men in 24 hours. The idea was to beat the world record held by Sparks, which will remain the official record until a third party can verify Bonnie Blue's claims. Those previous went viral after a documentary showed her getting emotional after sleeping with 100 men in a single day. And now, they say that, right? Like the girl that slept with 100 men in a day, that she got emotional. What she got emotional about was that she felt that she didn't give the guys a good enough performance in the short amount of time that she had to be there. Not the thing you should be worried about, sweetheart. Don't worry about it.
The art wasn't up to her personal standards. I respect that. I respect that out of her.
Some of these guys were blasting in her face after she kindly asked them, please don't blast in my face. Like, and they did it anyway. Not cool, guys at Gangbang.
MSS Tiny Hito wants to know what number Bob Uecker was out of this.
Now, here's the stupid part. There was 1,057 guys that waited to have 40 seconds of sex with this Bonnie Blue. One guy, Ali, who I just pushed in that picture, he was in the left-hand corner there. You see him down there? Good-looking guy, not horrendous. He spoke to the Daily Mail. He went on TikTok when she announced that she was going to do this, and he said, hey, please invite me. I want to be involved. And he got it, and then he went to the mansion. So he went with his buddy, who was previously had sex with Bonnie. So I'm assuming he was a porn actor or something. But he said that his buddy Ali could go before him, which is really nice. Considering that there was probably maybe 600 guys that went before Ali, right? So that's all right. So footage posted by him shows the legs of men lining up on the staircase as they queued to take part in the stunt in a room on the first floor. Which was later shown to be littered with condoms and paper towels. So now listen, not only is there just hundreds and hundreds of dudes there, like probably not fully clothed or trying to get hard or doing whatever, the floor is full of paper towels and fucking used condoms. Yeah. I mean, the smell, I can't even imagine. So there's
not like a condom Zamboni they can run through there to pick all that shit up. Like, what the fuck, man? I have so much of that shit laying around.
They could have used those cops from Aldi with the brooms to clean that shit up. That would have been nice.
I think I'd rather
get a squeegee.
I'd rather walk through that bug-filled room in Indiana Jones than that.
Describing the experience, Ali said she didn't have sex with at least 1,000. She did have sex with at least 1,000 men, as far as I'm aware. I didn't actually count them, but the mansion was full. Okay, he says there was a lot of guys in their late teens and in their early 20s. There were a few older guys. I'm 42, and I was probably one of the oldest there. People were going in, and a group would surround her. Whoever got the opportunity would start joining in. She was in the middle, and there were loads of guys around her doing whatever to her. I wasn't there for the whole day. I went for about 2 hours, and then I went for lunch, maybe 45 minutes. Then I came back for another 2 hours, and she was still going at it. It was pretty full on. He was in the hall. They were using just one big room. The queue started at the bottom of the stairs, up a staircase, blah, blah, blah. He was describing the eerie atmosphere, he said. It was very quiet while people were waiting. Everyone was focused. You could hear a pin drop. Bonnie was making all the noise. She was just moaning like a porn star noises, and her team were encouraging her, saying things like, if you're ready to get to the front, or if you're ready, get to the front, or guys, you can come in a row, or guys, you need to get to the back, things like that. But he told Mail Online, I didn't have sex with her. This is the stupidest part. I didn't really participate. I sort of participated as I was there. Dude went to this thing, requested an invite, but didn't even like get involved. And then he goes on to say, I wouldn't mind having sex with her in a more intimate setting with just us. But with 1,000 or so men there, it wasn't what I wanted to do. I got footage for my TikTok account, and I was happy with that. Boys, this seems like a lot of work to go to make a fucking little video, right? Like asking for the invite and doing all this stuff, going into like smelling smells that no human should probably smell, seeing things that you're never going to forget, just to make some little snappy YouTube clip or TikTok clip that's going to get banned here. No one in America will ever see it. So he thought, you know, like maybe if it was one-on-one, I'd fuck her, but I'm not going to fuck her here.
There's nothing like spending that amount of time and effort and disgustingness to make a TikTok to let every woman on earth know they shouldn't marry you.
So now he goes on to say, I will get money from posting it. Not a lot, because it was less than a minute. I was a security guard, but now I'm unemployed. And it goes on in the thing. It says his last listed employment was in 2016, and he says he now is focused on his TikTok posts. So he's got a 9-year plan right now. It also details his education and notes that he still lives with his parents in a semi-detached home. And he is 42 years old, and he says, when I do get a job, it's usually low level, like cleaning toilets. That's the thing that's got me known with the university students. Folks, this guy goes to a gangbang, he's 42, lives with his folks, unemployed, and doesn't even stick his dick in her for 40 seconds. Dumbest shit ever. Like, what? Just go out there and you got to have the story.
Let's get this drink.
Cheer out.
Peyton says cheers.
Thank you,
Cheers, Peyton.
But then she followed up with this comment. Shit, I just got here. Maybe should have waited to super chat.
Well, it's a good start. Thank you.
We appreciate it regardless. I mean, the overall scenario is just wild. MSS. Like I don't have much of a comment on this. It's just kind of gross.
Well, I have a question on this because okay, so the guy right here that we're talking about, that we're laughing about a little bit. Now, I was not expecting him to be a captain of industry at MSS. When you busted out that he had shitty jobs, that was right down the fairway of what I thought he probably did for a living. Something terrible. Yeah. My question, though, is like, you assemble all these guys, but some of the guys got to chicken out of the 1,000 or just like can't get an erection or whatever the fuck. There's got to be some chunk of the group that doesn't get in there. And so I assume he's one of them. Like, do they ever give you a number of that? Like, oh, there was originally 1,200 guys here, but then only 1,057 ended up, finishing up here. What?
They don't, but like watching because there was the long form documentary on the girl that did the 100 in one day. Yeah. Like they have to overbook people, and it seems like a big thing. Because guys,
it's like a Southwest flight.
It's like a cattle
call, but more seats.
But for better hope you're in A group.
You might be in the A group, exactly. You get that C, man. That's why the guy didn't get on the plane. He said, "I got a C. I'm out."
There's no room left in the overhead bins.
This is all a weird thing because there's this woman that just did it, and then that other girl that was crying about the 100 is now going to do 1,000. And then there's another woman, and they're all in the UK. They want to set these records, and I don't fully understand it. So there's something going on there. They must get paid differently if they sleep with more people. Because to me, when we've talked about this, there's a natural progression for stars in the adult entertainment industry. And I think once you get railed by 1,000 dudes, like I think your price just goes down. Like, I don't think it goes up. I don't know. It's odd to me.
You got to mark it in the sand, and that's you're gonna do the accomplishment or whatever, And now, how about my girl Lisa Sparks? You trying to come back over the top? She can get back in here. She's closer to our age, though. I think
She is, and she responded. She's like, in my 21 years in the adult entertainment business, that is the only thing I regret, and it was the gang, the 900 and some person thing that they did. He's like, these girls just don't understand what's happening, you know, what they're doing. And I was thinking about this too, as like driving, and I was like, I wonder, it's because like everybody sees the internet cycle is like about, you know, what, 3 days, sometimes 30 days, 3 months, like at the most, right? And so they're just like, oh, this won't be around, you know, later. But it's like, it probably will if you sleep with, like, well, maybe somebody will sleep with 2,000 guys in a day, you know, and then put her to the back and no one will know. But yeah, it just seems like it's something might hang around for a little while, maybe get some diseases. Who knows? I don't know. It's really gross to me. Yeah, I
just keep thinking like 12-hour day. That's a long day.
It is a long day.
Time and a half.
Our guy Chuck says Happy New Year.
Oh,
Happy New Year, Chuck.
Bless you, Chuck. Long time no see.
All right.
Chorizo.
So, you know, I try and cultivate my Twitter feed, and that's why a lot of you people out there are muted. But
yes,
there's certain times that things pop into my Twitter feed where I'm like, how the fuck did this get into my Twitter feed? Like, because I don't like watch a lot of European soccer, or I never talk about it, right? Like, so when a European soccer story comes up, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's because I was searching for falconry, and I get stories like this, where Lazio's club falconer, his prosthetic penis, and a very unusual sacking.
What a title!
So
God. It looked like that eagle was shitting.
I'm the falcon. I'm clicking. I'm clicking the link. Right? And so this is from the Athletic. This is the quote. His decision to post about it was not a cock-up, in Bernabe's opinion. It was on his private account. He did not expect his followers to screen grab and share it in the public domain. Now, you guys are probably wondering at
what
this
did he
point,
post?
What did he post and what did his followers share? But it's a picture of him with the doctor who performed the surgery for his prosthetic penis implant. And at the bottom of the screen, you might notice that there is some wrapping there around there. You're like, at first, like, oh, is that just the sheet punched up? Or
that's what
are they covering up something that has just been surgically enhanced?
Does he have a massive schlong? Yeah. You know?
And this story was wild because it's like, so this guy is like a nudist, and he's like, well, by the way, let's return. He is a falconer too.
Yeah. So, look at that, man.
He's at these
that
soccer
didn't look
games.
like
It's an Italian team, and he's the guy in charge of sending this falcon around the stadium, and then and bringing it back to himself and doing all this, and like the fans love it. It's a very important thing to the team. They fired his ass after this. But it's like I start reading it, and he's like, yeah, I don't have any erectile problems or anything. And he's talking about how like there's like a remote control to this thing and all these different things. But he goes on and I was like, where is he saying all this? And it was on like some show in Italy. And
cock talk.
It also kind of goes a little off the rails, and he starts talking about how much he likes Mussolini. So I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure the dong thing is what got you fired? I'm just like, I'm reading this and I'm just like, this guy just seems fucking insane. I'm like, the people at the club were probably like, if we ever find something on this guy to fire him for, we're gonna do it and get him out of here. And then he was like, I can't believe someone would share this ridiculous picture of me when I'm a semi-famous person all over the internet. So that piece of it, like him not realizing that this might get shared, that this might get out after he posted this picture. That was the stupidest shit I read on the
This is
internet.
the straw. The straw that broke his feeble cock. Yep.
Now, was there any data in the article or anything that followed up, Treasy, about how many inches got added?
So
I'm
that's
curious
the thing.
because we talk about the heightening thing when people add inches to their legs, but it's not that much. So I want to see how much is he going through all this shit for? You know?
So that's the thing.
I think it just gets
I
thicker.
don't think it like was so much a size thing as much as it like was like this. It was basically robotic at this point.
It's like having a fake arm or something like.
Yeah, it was like I could totally control everything, and like I needed that. Like there was no medical purpose for it. It was just he just wanted like this basically RC car of a penis.
I like
It was a
that he
vanity
says this.
purchase.
I'm reading the article on The Athletic, which is amazing that I'm not blocked, but it says, you know, like I can press a button and it allows me to be perfectly control both the erection and the duration. But my erection's fine. Don't worry. I don't need to be in control of it, but I just have it just in case. It's like, yeah.
I just
because
wanted
it's
to,
fun.
I just wanted it to operate like the crane game at the.
I definitely don't ever want control of something I already have control over, you know. So yeah, I get it.
And that was the stupidest shit.
That was good.
We've read
Love it.
on the internet this week.
A
Life sucks
everybody.
summer. I think it's time to pay some bills.
We're gonna pay some bills. Here we go. Happy New Year from Mazda of Orland Park. Are you shopping for a new Mazda in the Chicagoland area? Well, look no further than the new vehicle inventory at Mazda of Orland Park. We have a wide range of models in stock, from the popular Mazda CX-5 to the fan favorite Mazda CX-30. Our friendly staff is standing by to help you get behind the wheel of the model that suits your budget and lifestyle best. So take some time to browse our inventory online, then let us know when you're ready to stop by for a test drive. Come see us at 8910 West 159th Street, Orland Park, or call 708-444-3200, or visit MazdaofOrlandPark.com to schedule your test drive. Mazda of Orland Park, home of the Zoom Nation. 8910 West 159th Street, Orland Park. 708-444-3200. Zoom.
Well, while you were doing the ad read, I started like just going through some of the comments because I'm not paying attention while I'm talking.
Right.
And this one almost made me spit out my beer. This Tadahito, he said, I was hoping the bird got a penis.
Dude, I had no idea falcons look like a bald eagle. That looked like a.
It does look like an eagle to me
a bald
too.
eagle.
But
yeah.
it's he's a falconer. It said that it was a falcon. I don't know.
I Googled,
maybe I misread it.
Jesus Christ, be louder. No, I listened. I was like,
Beef's mic is in the ice. That's why.
Usually when I do something like that, I mute myself, but I just forgot this time, so I apologize.
That's okay. You should mute every time, though. I was like, I believe you when you said that originally. And then so I went immediately and Googled just to make sure. And then every picture I see, it's just like, here, you got me with this falcon. I'm like, that is a bald fucking eagle. Like, it looks exactly like a bald eagle. It's just odd.
I don't know what they call them in Europe, man.
Maybe they're either eagle or they're falcons over there. They're bald eagles here.
Maybe they hate Americans so much that they're like, fuck this. This isn't a bald eagle.
Fuck your bird, man.
It's all falcons. God damn it.
So, guys, we're going to do a little White Sox talk. Chris Getz just did an interview on Recap with Ryan McGuffey and David Kaplan. And so we're going to play one of our favorite games.
Chris Getz spoke to the media today.
I say, what did the man say on the stage? And he says, Pop, the man comes out and says these things. I said, well, what did he say? He says, Pop, he comes out and says some stuff. I said, well, what did he do? He says, Pop, he walks out and he goes, hello, suck this and MF and kiss my big black stuff and suck it and stick it down in your mouth and suck it.
Yeah.
I'll never get tired of that.
That's a good stuff.
And I know half the people listening are like, I don't even know what the fuck that's from. I don't.
Learn your
Eddie
history,
Murphy.
motherfucker. Fuck you.
Doing Bill Cosby. It's too much.
Before we get into the context of what Chris Getz actually said and all this, I was a little confused because I listened to this podcast on on like Apple Podcasts, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But then I saw a picture, and they're all in the same room. They're like all right next to each other.
Yes, sir.
Cap sounds like he's calling in from fucking Jupiter. So what did you guys get that? Beef, I think you watched it, right?
I watched it on YouTube. So no, I did not get that because I saw them all kind of sitting right there next to each other. So no, I did maybe the visual part of it blocked that out for me as far as the sound worked.
Yeah, the sound was crazy.
I listened to it. I think I listened to it on I don't know, Spotify or Amazon, one of those two. And I echo exactly what you said. I thought there's no way he's actually in the room, or he's in the corner of the room. And just off mic, because when they started it, I sent you guys a tweet or a message. I was like, this audio is fucking horrible. Like, this is like beginning of 108 podcast audio. I mean, it's just not speaking in the right end of the microphones, and just like, what the fuck is this? And I when I saw the video, then I was like, wait a second, they have 3 microphones and they're all right next to each other. This looks very bad. This is very bad sound. I think they just didn't have his mic on. Sure, yeah, I think that's what it was.
Or when I listened, I figured he was in the same closet that Lars did his drums for Saint Anger. Like that's how it. Love it. But I did want to ask you. I wanted to ask you guys a couple of questions after listening to that, and some things I was thinking about as I listened to it. And the first thing is like when you juxtapose Chris Getz, who has like some charisma. He's like self-deprecating about his playing career, and you against Rick Hahn, who gave us a lot of lawyer speak and was very overconfident in his delivery. Right? Do you worry that the likability of a Chris Getz might be blinding you to the overall badness of the results thus far?
Yes, I do fear this, Treasy. I actually have been thinking about this a little bit because he does like. Hahn was the perfect example of the smart guy, the guy you think is smart who's not really that smart. And so because of that, I framed Chris Getz because he's kind of likable and he seems like he's doing the right things and he's got connections in the league as the guy who seems less smart but who is actually smart. But I don't know if he's actually smart yet. I have no idea because none of this shit's come through there. And so I think having that bad GM first, that GM that screwed up certain things, with the next GM who is sitting right there, realizing all the things they fucked up, making a big point about pointing in the direction of the things they fucked up too, has kind of got me where I'm trying to back off of being so much liking what he's doing and pump the brakes a little bit. I was never over the moon with any of the Hahn stuff, and I'll never be over the moon really with any of the Getz stuff, but it has me liking it more and more. I think there is an effect there for me, at least personally.
How about you, MSS?
I think that I don't know if it necessarily distracts you because we won't know like a lot of the moves that he's made, and he mentioned it several times in the interview. Like we won't know if any of these have made a positive effect for like years, right? Like you're just not going to see anything immediately. And he said it in the interview. He's just like, listen, it's not sexy to talk about the guys that you hired in the front office that are actually doing the jobs that they should be doing. And I'm sure that the other guys were doing the job, they just weren't doing it well. But like he talks on a level that people understand him. You know, I don't want to like go too crazy, but like a Jim Margulis sometimes can like go out there and just speak, and he can speak numbers. And if you know numbers, right, that's great. You can understand that, and he'll speak right to you. But like when you come to our podcast, Loaf will give you like an example that you probably can understand, like a 5-year-old can understand, and like to understand how this metric actually works, right? And so I feel like Getz is more like that. Hahn was like, I'm almost too good for you. Like, I don't want to like, and I think people bought into that. Like the media bought in with that. Like most famous at Reggie's, where we're going to have our show, you know, they had that open question and answer ceremony. And they're like, no one came out. No one talked to us. We held it at 1:00 in the afternoon. You fuckers didn't even. I know it was a Tuesday, but you had to work, but whatever, you guys, you know, and so like, you're not going to get that from Getz. And I think somebody in PR probably has realized like, listen, this is probably not the right way to attack this. We should probably be a little bit more transparent, but like, he's not ultimately all that transparent. He's just saying it differently and it's being better. And it seems more warming and welcoming. So I can see why people will be like, I'm going to give this guy a little bit of a pass, even though I chewed him up before he even got into the job. I'll give him a little bit of a pass because at least he's speaking to me, it feels like, versus just to the heavens or whoever his bosses.
MSS, let me ask you a follow-up on that, because
Sure.
there was something I was thinking about when, and you just brought it up with, like, he just says things maybe a little better, right?
Yeah.
Like, just like you align a little bit more with what he's saying. But is Jerry has been supportive simply the money will be spent?
Well, here's the deal. And I know people don't like to hear this. Jerry spent money when it came down to it to the area, like when they needed it. They had a top 5 or top 10 payroll. I think it was even top. Was it 7th or 8th in the league? I don't know.
It was 7th. It was like 7th one year. Yeah,
it was up there. So no, we're never going to be number
mostly
1 or 2.
relievers.
Right. It was spent poorly by the people that were in charge. And I think if you had given the leash and the reins to somebody and they fucked like that, they fucked it up, at a certain point, no, you're not doing that anymore. So now this new guy, Chris, is coming in, and he mentioned this in the interview too. He's like, trying to sell some of these things to Jerry is easy if you can prove what you need. Like you say, hey, listen, a guy like Bannister, we need a guy like this because he knows these things and he knows this, he knows that. It's an easy sell for Jerry to go, here's the money, get him in, we need him. So maybe he is speaking more to Jerry too than Rick and Kenny, or like maybe they did a good job doing it too, but maybe Chris knows a little bit, he's understanding a little bit differently. He's like, listen, it's not just the players we need to do the front office. We need to do the whole system's fucked. Let's fix it all. Let's start here in the front office.
So, Beef, when you hear stuff like that, when you hear like Getz talked a lot about rebuilding the infrastructure, right? And we've seen some of it, right? Like firing Marco Patti and then going and saying, like, we're going to have an academy in the Dominican, getting in a Bannister, getting in a Fuller, like these kinds of things where it's like the core infrastructure of running a baseball team. Does it concern you at all that it might just end up looking like what he did in the player development side, where it was the Sox are so far behind that he's just bringing them to mediocrity?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. And that is like one of the main concerns, right? Is like, okay, well, if you get up to kind of like league average or what league average was 5 years ago, is that useful at all? Because everything moves so goddamn fast, and these things improve on their own. Now, we had heard, kind of outside of this, how many people they were hiring in analytics. Before anyone said anything, everyone's, they have no analytics department or whatever. We heard from some sources they were hiring a bunch of motherfuckers. And he brought it up in this thing, too, about, like, they have a more robust analytics department. Not saying they have, like, a Rays or Yankees analytics department where they got 50 people there or something like that. But you got to build into that stuff. The ability to manage it all takes some time. But yes, Treasy, like, that is basically the main concern, right? You do the right things, but you do them that they're behind. They're not up to speed with what everyone else is out there doing, and you never catch up. So maybe you're doing the right stuff, but you're 5 years behind, 7 years behind, or whatever. Instead of 20, it's still not going to really help you that much, right? Maybe you'll get lucky a little more often, but that is the main concern with the main concern with the Getz situation is that piece, because it's so important to develop the talent, and you need all those parts right to develop the talent.
And because if you're not going to spend, you have to be ahead. You have to
correct. You have to find the angles.
You have to not be treading water.
You got to find the edges in this shit. Yeah,
you have to be exactly. And I think that's one of the things I like about them bringing in guys like Bannister, them bringing in someone like Fuller. I like those things. MSS. One thing that he says in this though is like he's talking about his reasoning for keeping guys like Marcus Thames and Ethan Katz. And I generally like that. But let's say this team continues to stink, which they're going to, right? Like, there's going to be a couple of years of them stinking it up. They're probably not going to hit that much with the guys that they have right now.
Right. Yeah.
When he continues to retain these guys because he believes in them as well, and he wants to keep some continuity, he doesn't want to just keep turning these guys over. How angry are fans going to get and pose it as loyalist behavior like Jerry?
I mean, they're going to get angry, but they're also going to get angry regardless. I feel like, I'll say it like this: we pay way too much attention to a lot of different sects, right? And like the overall theme or overall people talking isn't necessarily what we hear, and that's something that is kind of hard, because you're like, oh well, everyone hates Sox Fest. Well, they're almost sold out. Like they're like they don't coincide with like what we're hearing with what actually is happening. So people are going to be mad regardless. Now, if he can show like Bannister's last year, right? Like watching the pitching prospects come in and like have growth, right? And they moved in. They started the year with the guy that like our opening day pitcher had pitched like 22 games, and like it was like ridiculous. And they grew into what he grew into, and then you traded him away for more prospects. You got Eric Fetty in, you got other guys in, and you're building up something. So if he can show some progress every year and they get better every year, like that should be enough to keep their jobs and to be able to throw back at the normal fan, like, hey, they're doing something here, but they're still going to be pissed. I mean, because they're not hiring these people. But if they, I guess I would say, Treasy, if they can continue to grow and then start signing some talent when they're ready, because as he says in the interview, like you don't want to sign all these people like top talent right now. They're not ready for it. So you could go out, right?
I get that. I get the not signing the top talent. I get that part of it, and I get some of the pieces of this. But like, I guess Beef, a slightly different question that I want to ask.
I kind of disagree with that myself.
Let me ask you a question because I think I'm going in the same direction. Yeah. A lot of this interview, a lot of the places where he talks about like people are seeing the results, they're understanding what I'm trying to do. He hangs his hat on Brian Bannister a lot. They had a atrocious bullpen last year. Like the starters outside of Crochet and Fetty stunk.
We're bad.
Like the guys that they bring in, like Flexen, where it was like, well, we're gonna, this is the kind of guy we like. He was bad. Like
he was bad. He gave 160 innings, but he's bad.
Like, do you think that the hanging your hat on Brian Bannister is premature?
I do. I think in general it isn't, right? A guy like Brian Bannister was cutting edge at one point. And then the question is, how long can you stay cutting edge on this stuff? How long can you have an advantage over the rest of the league? And I understand that he's the type of guy who is always looking for an edge. And that's good. That's a good start to being that type of person. But doesn't mean you're always going to find the edge. Doesn't mean someone doesn't start beating you to it and you start missing and then you're not that cutting edge person anymore. And so that is a little bit of the fear. To double back on the last question, Getz has been pretty good so far with the personnel, turning them over quick. Even guys that he's brought in, he's flipped them over. Or even a trade for Dominic Fletcher. Dominic, you're not guaranteed a spot this year. You didn't perform or whatever. But Teresi, I think we're going to need to see that in the front office and the coaching staff as well. Otherwise, I agree that people are going to get fucking pissed that you kept this guy around for so long. We're not seeing these fucking results. And he brought up the point, like, you can't blame everything on the hitting coach. If the team doesn't hit, that team didn't hit or whatever. For a little while, you can work with that point, but you can't work long-term with that point. If it continues to be bad, and that guy's there, you got to get rid of that guy. And so, like, I think he's got to model exactly what he's been doing with the player personnel on the field and the 40-man and churning that with the rest of these spots if they don't work, if they don't happen to, provide results.
Let's get a quick drink here from Praz. He says, made it to second break at Horseshoes Thursday night poker tournament. Currently 11 away from cashing. Wish me luck, friends.
Cheers, boy. Prez, don't just settle for a min cash. Take the whole thing down, baby. You play for the win. That's how you win in poker tournaments. Let's go.
I want to hear later in this show when we're at an hour 3 that you knocked it out.
The money's in the top 3 spots, baby. Go get it.
I'm done with the spiked watermelon.
Oh, beautiful.
Bless your heart.
What do you got up next, buddy? What's going on over there? You're diving deep.
Another one that we're gonna have to drink off. Okay, it's a single serve because I was like, I'm not getting too crazy because this is another one. It's a Chi-Chi's ruby red margarita, a single shot.
Oh,
I'm gonna pour that.
Yes.
I'm gonna pour that over ice. So I did a Steel Reserve. Now I'm gonna do a margarita from Chi-Chi's, which means tits, I think, in Spanish.
Hello.
Beef, while he's putting his drink together,
Putting it in a wine glass because I'm classy.
I like that. Good choice.
I think one of the things that Getz is doing, and this is a little bit off of the conversation that he had with Guff and Cap, but like he's been bringing in some kind of barely major league talent, right? Like Austin Slater's, like Martin Perez, and in our buddy Josh Nelson was interviewing Dan Szymborski the other day, and Dan was like, don't do that. Like, just bring up the guys or whatever. And I get his point.
Yeah.
But a question to you is like, do you feel like there is some transactionality, if that's a word, to some of these moves where it's like Martin Perez was traded last year, Austin Slater was traded last year, Josh Rojas is a very tradable asset. Not for a lot, but you just start building up lottery tickets. And I think back to your blog about AJ Preller when we were in the same position as the Padres and couldn't get anyone above the $300,000 threshold in the international market. And Preller got all these guys, went volume. The Sox didn't. Over the years, we've seen a bunch of those guys not become great major leaguers, but get traded for other guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it a good idea for Getz to say, I don't have anyone ready, I'm going to start bringing in these guys and and I'll flip them for lottery tickets, because why the fuck not?
Well, I think that a little bit of because I listened to that conversation too, Treasy, a little of the disconnect there. So the guys that Getz has brought in, Austin Slaters of the world, Mike Tauchman's, those types of guys, I don't think they have much in the way of trade value. To me, their value is super cheap, stable major league player that can hold off anyone in the farm system, so we don't have to rush anyone here, force anyone here who does not deserve to be up here. The guy who's supposed to be working on XYZ, he can't come up because I got a real guy. Unless he does that shit and he excels, and then he comes up and pushes that guy out of that spot. To me, a lot of these moves are predicated on that. The Martin Perez thing is predicated on that too. It's blocking some of these young guys from being exposed before they're ready to be up in the major leagues. They know they have a lot of arms, but a lot of these guys maybe aren't ready, had to come up last year, and were in a spot where they weren't quite ready. I think Dan Szymborski's point, which he didn't articulate that well, in my opinion, it wasn't just throw every minor leaguer up there. His thought was kind of like, if there are sort of these low-end players out there that are younger, that maybe have some upside, those are the guys you plug into the spot. Someone who's 25, who team has given up on, that's fresh talent, like MSS.
I know where you're going.
Fresh talent,
I know where you're going.
Guys. Yeah. Where am I going?
Sixto Sanchez. That's my guy.
He's fatter than I am, I think, right now. Yes. But that kind of guy is kind of the guy right there.
And I like what he was saying with Brooks Baldwin, right? Like with Brooks Baldwin, like, don't go out and get some old shortstop. If Colson's not ready,
let's play this guy.
Brooks out there and see what happens. Because there's no downside to that. I mean, there is a downside.
There is a downside.
It can't get any worse than 100.
Right. There is a downside. I agree.
It's a downside. It's a downside to me and you on our 49.5.
There's no free lunch. I agree, but MSS is right. There is a downside to that.
There's a little bit of a downside.
Now, MSS, when you listen to this interview, is there anything that pops out to you that, like, it sounds good at first, but you think about it a little bit and you're like, wait, what? I don't know if I like this.
I'm so glad you asked. As I was over here lapping the balls of Brian Bannister, Chris Getz had said, hey, we bring in Brian Bannister and he pays attention to the trends. And that's a guy that we need on this team. And I'm thinking in my head, like, as a team that is like notoriously, front office is notoriously not doing anything, the easiest thing to do is cheat and to pay attention to what other people do and just be like, yeah, we're doing what the Rays do too. We're looking at this guy, whatever. It's the simplest thing to do. So when I hear that Bannister is only there to pay attention to trends, or is brought in, he's the first guy to do this, it kind of concerns me that nobody else has ever thought, hey, maybe we should pay attention to what other people are doing and do that too.
What I think he's
What
not
am I missing?
he's not saying trends across the league. I think he's saying like, but let me start by saying I agree with you.
Okay.
Like, I think he's not saying trends across the league. He's saying
that.
he's like on a day-to-day basis, Ethan Katz has got to be in there with the players. Marcus Thame's got to be in there with the players. And when you do that, it's hard to take the long view of everything and see the trends that are happening within the team, see that what's happening against certain pitches. Like, for example, like over the course of a year in a young player's run, they're going to start to see pitches more often that they can't hit, right? Like because the league's going to adjust to them. And so seeing those trends, if you're in there day in, day out, maybe you don't catch on to it as quickly. But if you take a step back and you're watching those types of things, you can go to the hitting coach and go, hey, watch out. You know, this is what they're starting to do to them. Two things there, and why I agree with you. One, you should be able to do that as the hitting coach or the pitching coach.
That's your job.
And two, did you need to bring in like what you're considering like the best guy ever to come do this? No, anyone could have done that.
Right.
We do that. I watched a whole podcast of Beef and Josh Nelson talking about how Andrew Vaughn can't hit sliders and all they're going to do is throw him sliders. Did you need Ryan Fuller to tell you that?
And that's concerning, right? I mean, like, it's like very odd to me that, I mean, we've talked about this about several things, and like overarching, it's like, listen, we sat down, and I'll just break this because they're not even a real place anymore because we drank them out of business. But we sat down with the Baderbrow folks. This is something that I like throwing out every so often within our group, and I'm like, hey, guys, at the park, they're selling this 24-ounce like or 19-ounce Founders all-day IPA. Why can't you guys do that with your drink? And the guy breaks out paper, writes it down, and goes, you know what? That's a fantastic idea. I'm like, I'm a stay-at-home father, okay? You sell beer for a living, and you don't think, hey, you know what? I can meet the market that is there. And I don't think that I'm on like some next level shit. I am just a regular dude that just like pays attention to things. They should have fucking hired me too. You know, like not Baderbrow because they're no longer in business, but the Sox, like I could probably help if they're not even looking at some of this stuff, for Christ's sake. It's terrifying.
Beef, tell me something that you listened to in that interview where you felt like you learned something new about how Getz is running the org, and it either encouraged or discouraged you.
Okay. You know what I think I learned? I didn't fully learn it from this discussion, but I've been learning it, and it kind of got into my craw a little bit. I think I learned a little bit how he got the job, how he positioned himself to get the job, how he got in Jerry's ear to get the job. Because all throughout this and recent talks, what keeps sticking out to me is all the spots where he sticks it in Rick and Kenny's eye about things they didn't do.
Oh, those are good. About
things he's doing. An example, he says everything that makes up an organization, international, R&D, draft, this the plan, infrastructure of the team. He talks about how he was able to pitch things to Jerry and knows how to get things fixed, and talking about bringing in Banny and Fuller, getting the new Dominican Academy built, building up the R&D, the analytics, He talks about putting together a committee across the an entire company. This is not just baseball operations or whatever, to help get things fixed. I assume Brian Mahler is involved in that because we heard about him later. He talks about.
I don't want to know about that guy.
He talks about putting the team in position and make sure you have good pillars in the organization. And even when you're good, you cannot stop doing all these processes. You cannot just depend. And he said it in the discussion. You can't depend on a top-heavy, group of players and just hope that they produce absolutely everything. He talked a lot about building relationships with GMs and presidents of other teams. He talked about Guffey set him up too to even mention how many outside voices he's brought in, and how they haven't done that in 3 decades. And he talked about his ability to want to do this. He talked about Jerry's openness. If you present these things right to him, you can get these things kind of done. And so I don't know if it is specific that he's trying to put a finger in their eye, or if we're just getting a look into, Jerry, here's all the things I would do if I was in charge. And Jerry's like, yeah, I like these ideas. I haven't heard these ideas. Let's do these ideas. These other guys, I think they're smart. I love these guys. Kenny's like a son to me, but I think this is the path to go. And so really that discussion had a lot of those points in there, but you've been seeing them reiterated. And so it's interesting to hear. And I don't know if it's just I was not a fan of the Han GM era, and so these are all sticking out to me, or if these are kind of like, hey, this is how the dude got the job.
MSS, same question to you. Yeah. Is something you learned from this that you're either encouraged or discouraged by?
So the serious part of it is that I learned that Chris Getz is way better at doing interviews than Han was, and I'm more receptive to his ideas, and I like the way that he's going, and I can understand what he's trying to do, and I like that he's being honest about it and telling people like, hey, this isn't sexy. Like, what I'm doing is not like signing a big name free agent that is going to just turn around a season, and we're going to do the hard work. Kind of, he didn't really say that, but like, we're going to do the things that we need to do with this, so we'll succeed later. And as a guy that likes plans and likes building things in a certain way, I like that. That's the serious answer. What I learned about the funniest part, David Kaplan might be the most annoying motherfucker that I've ever heard on a goddamn White Sox podcast ever. Listening to this guy talk shit, and I know he talked shit all last year, and he talked shit before that. And as a fellow person that creates content in the White Sox Twitterverse, like Guff, right? I'm not Guffy. I understand that. Like, I'm not saying I'm that level, but we've put in time. We've done our work, and we're doing what we're doing here. Okay. But for somebody to be able to like, hey, here's the keys to our brand new car. Go drive it around. Here's our GM. You have unfettered hour and a half interview, and we can't even sniff like anybody's jock, and like, you're just like, please just give us somebody. Let somebody come through. Let us have some people to interview or whatever.
I like how this turned because I want to. No. I got to throw this out because I don't. I got to jump in here because I was going to say similar thing about Cap, and I was like, I always listen to these things trying to learn how to better interview people, like how to better do this.
Exactly. Yep.
And like the thing that I really disliked about Cap, and I was like, oh shit, have I done this a bunch? Is Cap kept making it about
himself.
He kept being like, let me tell a story about me, and then maybe
twice when I was watching, I was like, Cap, shut the fuck up. I want to hear Guff ask a question here.
And I thought that's where MSS was going, but instead MSS made it about himself.
Listen, I'm going to blame
you learned nothing.
Reserve. I'm going to blame the Steel Reserve and the Chi-Chis. That is awful. It's not
I thought he was going to say delicious, and he goes,
not
awful.
good, folks. Not good at all. Is the ice melts? It's getting better. I would never buy this again. That's why it was 2 for $3. But no, you're 100% correct, and I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have gone down that train. But I'm going to bring the alcohol. But like him talking about, it was like, I was over there during the playoffs, and that place was electric, and we're like, oh, these guys are right around. You're a Cubs fan, motherfucker. Why are you there? Like. Even and I understand people like sports and blah blah blah, but as a non-Cubs fan, I would not be at Wrigley Field for a fucking playoff, right? Like, because I don't care. Like, and I'm not a fan of this team, so I'm not going to go there. And as a guy who's like a Cubs fan, talks shit about the Sox, to be there for like their shining moment, fuck you. And so, like, I don't like that. I think I didn't ruin the interview, but he did 100% make it about himself. And it just, it was off-putting.
My guy MSS. We had Jeff Passan on our show last week, MSS. Take it easy. All right? We get good guests on the show. All right? Take it easy.
I still want more. Hey, listen.
There's nothing wrong want more. There's nothing wrong
once
want more.
I get complacent, this shit's over. Okay? When I get complacent and you guys get complacent, well, Treasy's complacent. But like when if we all get complacent, then we're fucked.
All right. So one thing that he touches on, and this is my last question to you guys, because and I'll let you guys talk about things that you might have felt in this, but like one last question to you. One of the things that Chris Getz does say in this, and it takes a little prodding, but he does say that in his era, there will be $100 million contract signed.
Yes.
So I just want from you guys both your thoughts. Is it wise to sign Justin Verlander as a closer for 5 years, $100 million?
On name value alone, yes, I would definitely do that.
I was pretty sure it was going to be a former Royal. Like I was like, we're going to bring back Zach
Greinke.
Greinke.
100-year contract, $1 million a year.
They could have signed him last year to fit in perfectly on this goddamn roster.
Beef, any closing thoughts on the interview?
Yeah, the last thing is I really enjoyed the self-deprecating humor. If nothing else, it's like having a personable GM that provides a little bit of entertainment to you. Kenny Williams was like that too, but in a different way. He was fire and brimstone, and he was like, I will fight you, whoever. And he was like, talk shit to me, I'll talk shit to you back. Chris is one of the boys, basically. He talks about, his wife throwing him a surprise 40th birthday party, and it was on the day he got the job. And the boys are in town. Some of his guys he grew up with, and they were playing golf, and they're a little liquored up. And the guy's like, man, don't go on Twitter. It's a bloodbath out there. Like, they're killing him, right? And he's getting crushed by his friends. It's like, we've all been in those situations. It's nice to hear, like, that sort of thing. The other thing was when he brought up the most embarrassing thing from when he was a player. He went to some, like, Dick's Sporting Goods thing for a signing, and there was an adult in line, and the adult's like, I don't want your fucking autograph. Like, that shit was hilarious. And I was like, the ability to admit that, to throw that out there, it really does set a line of like, okay, I'm going to give him a little more rope just because, okay, he seems really human. This is like, he cares about this, and he's willing to lay down there with the boys and make fun of himself. And I really like that. I hope it doesn't end up blinding me from being very critical on everything he does, because that's what we try to do here. We try to be fair and critical.
Who was the player? And I think it was in Kansas City that was like, your autograph needs work. Like, this is that's how you sign an autograph. And he was like, this is how you sign an autograph. And then he went into that whole like thing, and he's just like, the guy was like, I don't want you to sign it. I'll let him sign it. And I thought of like Chasing Amy. It's like, I don't want the guy that colors the comic to sign it. I want the guy that draws the product and put, man, to sign my comic. He's like, you're a fucking tracer.
MSS, what's your parting thought on the interview?
Honestly, like, I thought it was great, and this is something that I wish they would have done. I wish Hahn would have done it. Maybe just didn't have it in him. Like, just to like be upfront and as honest as you can be as a person that works for a major corporation like the White Sox, right? Like, I mean, he's not trying to sell you a line of goods. He's not saying, wait, ask me after the parade about that, Guff. He's not saying shit like that. And he does seem like a person, like, versus a person, like just some dude out there, like it's somebody that you could talk to. So I appreciated that. I think that is something that the Sox are going to continue to do, since they have alienated the fans for however many years, because they hadn't had Sox Fest, and now it's Sox Fest Live. You have to come down to a level where you're appealing to everybody, and that's one way to do it. So yeah, just let us get the interview too. We want that shit too.
I think the one thing I'll say about
thing?
this is that I think Guff did a really great job with this interview, because he keeps it light. He keeps it, like, I'm going to get more interviews from the Sox. He knows to toe that line, but he did ask enough questions where there was some meat to it, where, as we previously discussed, we feel like Getz might be going not necessarily in the wrong direction, but not far enough in the right direction to actually bring this team to be a winning team. There's a lot of question marks that come up during this. The amount that he had to prod him for the $100 million contract, like there's a lot of pieces of it where Guff got enough out where we can question if Chris Getz is really doing a good job, if he really has enough in him to not bring the team up to mediocrity, but to bring the team to a championship level, which is going to be tough. We know that. We know that that's going to be tough, especially with the owner that he has. And there's maybe a little bit too much reliance on, like, oh, Jerry's going to spend what he needs to, because maybe he won't, right?
He might not.
So I think I think at the end of the day, Guff did a good job. I don't know why David Kaplan sounded like he was in a different dimension. But as someone who does podcasts all the time and has tons of technical issues, I don't hold it against. All right,
well,
listen, it's fine.
I mean, that's not
we have
our
different
job.
Different budgets for our show.
A little bit.
That's correct. Yeah, that's right.
But hey, we want the same guests, so we got to say that we're in the same realm. So I'm feeling for him. I'm feeling for him right now.
We could do that. We could do that.
I feel bad that he had to record that from outer space
with a tin can and a string
in a closet in outer space.
Exactly.
Not directly next to him on the couch.
But boys, now it's time for thank yous and GFYs. Beef Loaf, who are you thinking of GFY?
My GFY goes to Alex Rude's laptop that absolutely would not fucking cooperate and work when we were trying to record the au jus on Monday night. It caused the dude to have to work off the phone. Alex Rude did a great job off the phone. It was 31 minutes of excellence. He brought a lot of fire. He brought a lot of information to it, but it had to be a little bit uncomfortable. So, he did a great job, but go fuck yourself to his laptop. It's as reliable as Treasy's computer.
Beef.
Oh shit! I got no idea, guys.
You have no idea. You have no idea. Before we went on,
yeah,
I was probably 3-4 minutes later than I wanted to be in backstage, because when I restarted my computer, it came back on. I go into StreamYard, and it's like your camera is in use. StreamYard can't use it. It is the only fucking thing I have open on my computer. I'm like, what webcam show am I filming right now? And I don't know. Quick drink here. Our guy Jackie Treehorn says, if Jerry sells, does Getz stay? I say no, but
probably not. No.
Yeah,
I would assume
not.
So I think everyone says no.
Depends where they're at, though.
Cheers. MSS, who are you thinking, or GFY?
I'm thinking our guy Gas Money Bob, who sent me a message on the Twitters and goes, "Hey, I just found this ticket from 1987 from the White Sox.
Hell yeah.
Do you want it?"
Nice.
And I said, "Actually, it's 3 days before my 10th birthday. Sure, please send it my way. Even though my father never took me to original Comiskey, no big deal. I'll keep this ticket."
I did not know that.
So now.
MSS, the fucking complaint department.
I know, right? Bitch about everything. So he gives me this, and then he goes, sends me a message later. He's like, "Hey, I found a bunch more shit. I'm gonna send it your way." So he sends me this huge fucking box of stuff. Like, I mean, not huge, but too big. And one of the things that's in there is the opening week program from 1991. And like, first off, fuck most of the information that's in this thing. I don't give two shits about it, but I love seeing fucking big ass Marlboro ads right on the back of a magazine. I love looking at the old ads. That's like one of my
Who was that? Richard Petty on the back of there or what?
No, that's they've had now, Loaf, you know that I've worked for Altria, which is Marlboro. They've had several cowboys, and several have died. I won't say what of, but several have died. So that's one of the original, not the original cowboy, but I think the second cowboy. Now, they used to do these. He didn't. He honestly didn't.
That's it. I'm out of. I'm done.
2 hours away. 2 hours away from the stadium. 2 hours back. It's just too much. But no. And then they used to give away these cards, these big cards at Old Comiskey, and they were sponsored by Coca-Cola. And they would have the team. So who didn't need a Reed Nichols card, right? But I was surprised that he included these two, and these two are my favorite, and I'm going to keep them. On a Bobby Bonilla card. He was on the Sox.
In '86, baby.
Like a cup of coffee. He was there.
Half
Bobby
the year,
Bonilla,
basically.
and then, oh my god,
traded them for Jose De Leon. God damn it,
that got someone fired.
Yeah, it did. Sure did. Hawk.
And then this one, and just speaking of Hawk, the Hawk Harrelson with the cowboy hat and the crazy glasses. I sent a text to GMB today, and I was like, dude, how can you give these two cards away? And there's others, and he sent me a bunch of other stuff, but my God, those two things are just insane. I appreciate it. Thank you, GMB. Thank you to Wally and his girlfriend Ange, and then Pete for last Friday after the Bums thing went to see Buddy Guy. I'm good. It was a fun time.
I want to
Crazy.
just quickly thank all the people who continue to buy tickets to the Reggie's event. I am
Yes.
very excited for that. That's coming up, so make sure to get out to that. That's going to be
huge.
January 25th at Reggie's. One big announcement there is that if you are going to Sox Fest that Saturday night, the Reggie's bus is going to pull up. We've already talked to the people at Removo. It's all good. They're going to pull up. They're going to pick you up and bring you over to Reggie's. They're not going to bring you back. Just it's a one-way trip.
You're on your own, baby.
You're coming to us, and you're on your own. But that is happening. So thank you to them as well for both Remova and Reggie's on that. And I'm going to leave you guys with a nice little treat of Norm Macdonald talking about Bob Uecker. Good night, everybody.
He said to me, he goes, "Hey, man, you know Belvedere?" So I go, "No, I don't know Belvedere." And he goes, "Man, great guy. He big fat guy, but still nice." And he goes, "I'll tell you something about Belvedere you might not know." I go, "What's that?" He goes, "He loves fried mozzarella." I go, "Oh, how do you know that?" He goes, "Well, in the back of these TV shows, they have little things where you can get food, and they had a little stove, with a skillet. And man, I'd put mozzarella on there, and I'd feed it to him. And then one time I got called into a big meeting, and all these muckety mucks were sitting around. They said, 'You got to stop feeding Belvedere.' And I said, 'Man, he likes it.'"